Hi everyone, I'm June and my husband Gabriel is helping me write this story. Before I dive in, let me tell you something. My first meeting with Gabriel's parents, Louis and Lena, was a complete disaster. Here's what they said. "I can't believe you would date such a loser, Gabriel. This woman has nothing going for her. She just works a desk job in a small office. How will she ever give us a good life?" "Mom, I love June and she's the only one I want. I don't care about how much money she has or earns. Those things never mattered to me." "Well, they matter to us, Gabriel. We've made that very clear from the start. If you had listened to us, you would understand. Gabriel, if this girl has nothing else to offer, she can't be our daughter-in-law. We won't approve of her. You need to find someone else." "No, Mom, June is the one for me. I'm going to marry her. I had the whole proposal planned, and now you've ruined everything." I was shocked the entire time this conversation happened. Yes, I was surprised Gabriel was planning to propose to me. We had been dating for 3 years, and I hoped he would ask me to marry him. But I didn't expect it so soon. But that wasn't the only reason I was stunned. Louis and Lena's reaction to our relationship was very upsetting. Gabriel had warned me about them. He had said, "Look, June, I've already met your dad. He's a great man and a great father. I know you have high hopes for my parents, but let me tell you, they are not good people." "Gabriel, how can you speak about your parents like that? They must be good people since they worked hard to raise you. It must have been tough for them. They're really hardworking." "You don't get it, June. Yes, they worked hard to put me through college, which helped me get a good job, but it was all out of greed. They always wanted me to marry someone wealthy so they could benefit from my wife's money and live comfortably. They won't be happy when they find out you work in an office." I was naive and didn't realize how selfish and cruel parents could be. My own parents were kind, and even Gabriel acknowledged that. Although he financially supported his parents, he didn't have much contact with them. He disliked them for some reason but didn't cut ties because they guilted him about their sacrifices. When I met his parents, I saw how greedy they were. Despite Luis and Lena's protests, Gabriel proposed to me and we got married. They threatened to boycott the wedding but eventually came after Gabriel pleaded with them. He didn't have much family and wanted his parents there desperately. They only agreed when he assured them that my family wasn't poor. My father owned a house and some property. They made it clear they were there for their own gain. They told me, ChatGPT, "Just so you know, June, we still don't approve of this marriage. Gabriel is successful and we expected him to marry someone wealthy. We're disappointed he didn't. We wouldn't have come if we thought you had nothing. Thank goodness your father has something to his name. I hope you remember us and our presence today when you eventually inherit the house. I'm getting married today, guys. My father is healthy, and there's no reason for you two to bring up inheritance." I walked away from them after hearing their words. My father was my only family, and hearing that on my wedding day was sickening. I couldn't believe Louis and Lena had the audacity to demand a share of my money. I didn't tell Gabriel about it. I didn't want to ruin his day, and I knew it was hard for him to cut off his parents. Unfortunately, things went downhill from there. Gabriel and I were happy together, but his parents were always nagging us about money. They kept asking about my father's wealth, but we never gave them a straight answer, so they kept bothering us. Their behavior was embarrassing and entitled. They had no right to know my father's worth. We couldn't avoid them because we lived in the same city, and Gabriel wanted some relationship with them. For a few years, I tolerated their greed. They drained our savings by asking for more and more money, making excuses and guilt-tripping us when we refused. And they never stopped commenting on me and my inheritance. ChatGPT. I started to ignore them, but things got worse when my father was diagnosed with cancer. It was aggressive, and he didn't have much time left. We flew to visit him a couple of times since he lived far away. Louis and Lena weren't happy about it. They said, "You shouldn't spend so much on flying to your father. You're doing it too often. It'll drain your money. Yeah, he won't live long anyway, and he's in hospice. There's nothing you can do for him now, so it's better to save your money and not waste it there." Visiting my dying father isn't a waste of money, guys. And what we do with our money is our business. You have no right to tell us. We're your in-laws and we have a say. It's for your own good. You should spend money on people who'll be around longer to enjoy it. I was furious at their words. Dealing with my dad's illness was already overwhelming, and anyone who's lost a parent knows how tough it is. Louis and Lena weren't being supportive. Instead, they were subtly telling me not to see my father and to spend money on them instead. Thankfully, Gabriel stood up for me and ended the conversation. But from that day on, I was determined to set things straight. Once I was in a better place emotionally, I vowed to show them where they stood. My dad passed away about 3 months after his diagnosis. It was devastating. Even though I knew it was coming, seeing his health decline was incredibly hard to accept. Gabriel was my rock through it all. He held my hand as we arranged the funeral. Louis and Lena bombarded me with messages asking about inheritance and funeral costs. It disgusted both of us, but we didn't react. We decided they'd face consequences when we returned home. As expected, Louis and Lena were at our doorstep as soon as we got back. They pestered us with questions. So the funeral's done. I've been curious. What did you inherit? Your father must have left you the house, right? What on earth are you talking about, Lena? How is my inheritance any of your business? I just came back from my father's funeral, and this is what you're concerned about. Oh, come on, June, don't be so sour. Since Gabriel married you, we've been wondering why. I mean, you don't have a fancy job, and you're not exactly a beauty queen. What did he see in you? Louis, and I figured it must be about money. Mom, what's gotten into you? How can you insult me and my wife like that? We got married because we love each other. I've told you this so many times. Please don't bring it up today. Gabriel, there's no need for the theatrics. We're just asking a question. June can answer, and we'll be satisfied. We wouldn't mind if you married her for money. We'd be happy to know you got a good deal. You're awful parents to accuse your own son of being a gold digger. You two are beyond belief. I can't fathom how someone as amazing as Gabriel ended up with parents like you. ChatGPT. Enough with the small talk, June. Tell us what you got in your inheritance. This is what I've been waiting for. Your father must have left you something. Gabriel mentioned he lived in a big house. You could just tell us now and buy us a house instead. We'd make great use of the money. After all, we're your parents now. Hearing this made my blood boil. I was furious, and Gabriel looked at his parents in disbelief. Even he couldn't believe how greedy and selfish they were. My father hadn't been gone for even a month, and they were already planning to use my inheritance for themselves. They even started calling themselves my new parents. That was the moment I knew I had to act. I had tolerated them for years for Gabriel's sake, but now I needed to show Gabriel their true colors. I replied, actually, my dad didn't own the house when he passed away. I'm sorry to disappoint you. He did own it for a long time, but he had to let it go recently for reasons. What? So your father didn't even own his house anymore? No, as I said, he owned it a long time ago. He had to let go of it recently, so no, I didn't inherit the house or anything else. Oh my God, so your father was poor after all. I knew you weren't wealthy. Your father couldn't even keep his house until the end. He died with nothing. Leave our son, you're worthless. Mom, our marriage isn't over because she didn't inherit anything. You can't ask her to leave me over that. Don't interrupt, Gabriel. We won't allow this marriage to continue. You disappointed us by marrying into a poor family. You didn't consider our happiness. I'm ashamed to have a son like you. June, I'm sure you trapped my son into marrying you. People like you use tricks to lure men. Your plan was to cut us off and take his money. Well, I won't let that happen. Louis and Lena pressured Gabriel to divorce me and marry a wealthy girl so they could live in luxury. Gabriel was upset and breaking down. I knew I had to help him make a decision. Gabriel, are you going to let your parents continue this? I've tolerated their greed for too long because you felt guilty cutting them off. Are you still going to keep them in our lives? I don't think we can recover from this, June. I've had enough too. Mom, Dad, you've shown me your true colors today. You've used me for your own gain for years. I won't tolerate it anymore. Don't be foolish, Gabriel. This girl will lead you astray from your family. We're doing this for your own good. We didn't invest in you just so you could give charity to someone else. You need to divorce your wife and start over. There's still time for you to find a wealthy wife. We'll help you this time. You've made too many mistakes on your own. No, I won't leave my wife because she didn't inherit anything. I'm done being manipulated. I'm staying with June. You two won't be a part of my life anymore. What will you gain by staying with June? This isn't what we wanted. She's not worthy of you. If you stay in this marriage, we want nothing to do with you. We won't help you when she leaves you destitute. Seeing Lena and Louis's behavior, I decided to reveal the truth. I knew telling them my true net worth would make them beg and plead. I don't need to take Gabriel's money. I have plenty on my own, and I'll take care of him just fine without your help. Nice try, June. You don't have to lie to us, Lena snapped. Yeah, you're just the daughter of a poor man. You don't make enough money from your job to support Gabriel, Louis added. Well, actually, I have $50 million in my bank account. And no, I didn't earn it from my job. It's from my father. That's impossible. Your father didn't have anything, Lena scoffed. Don't try to deceive us, June. We can see through your lies. It won't work. We'll make sure you divorce our son and leave him to us, Louis threatened. I smiled at them and glanced at Gabriel, who gave me the go-ahead. He knew me well enough to anticipate what was coming next. I opened my bank account and showed them my balance. Louis and Lena's eyebrows shot up in disbelief. They exchanged a shocked look and stammered, "No, this can't be real. You must have faked these bank statements. You said you didn't inherit anything. How? You also mentioned your father didn't own his house. Where did this money come from?" Lena demanded. What I didn't mention was that my father owned a big ranch where he lived. He sold it before he passed away and gave me an early inheritance. He didn't want me to use my own money for his care. Unlike you two. Louis and Lena couldn't believe what they were seeing or hearing. They turned to Gabriel for confirmation, and when he confirmed it, they fell silent for a moment, exchanging another look. Then their tone shifted completely. Oh, this is wonderful news. We thought Gabriel made a mistake, but your father did right by you, June. You should have told us about this sooner, Lena exclaimed. Yeah, we got worked up for nothing. You did marry well, son. We're so happy for you both, Louis added. With Gabriel's expression, I knew my job was done. He would handle the rest, so I held back my frustration and let him take over. I trusted him to make the right decisions, and he didn't disappoint. Gabriel was furious and unleashed his anger on his parents. How dare you stand here and keep talking to us? You were pushing us to divorce, and now you act like June is family. How could you? We didn't know her net worth back then, Gabriel. She hid the truth from us. How are we supposed to know she's actually rich? Louis pleaded. Yeah, June, we're sorry for assuming the worst. You surprised us. Can we move past this now that you've got an apology? Lena added. No, absolutely not. I won't forgive you for what you did today. I just buried my father, and you didn't let me grieve in peace. I'll never forget or forgive this. It's enough. Since you think so little of me, you don't deserve to be in my life. Get out of my house and don't come back. Starting next month, you're on your own. I won't be helping you financially anymore. You don't deserve it after today. After Gabriel's ultimatum, Louis and Lena went ballistic, begging and pleading for us not to cut them off. But neither Gabriel nor I paid them any mind. Gabriel was so angry that he threatened to call the police if they didn't leave our house. Eventually, they heard the warning and left, but they continued to blow up our phones with calls and texts. We blocked their number and warned them that we would press charges if they didn't stop harassing us. For the next few days, Gabriel handled his family while I focused on grieving for my father. Finally, in a peaceful setting, I could reflect on my childhood memories and remember my father for the good times. He was truly amazing. When he understood I didn't want to move back south, he sold his property so I wouldn't have to worry about it. He even used some of the sale money to pay for hospice, not wanting me to spend my own money on his care. He was a great parent, and I miss him dearly. While Gabriel mourned the loss of his toxic family, he faced guilt from others who didn't understand why he cut ties. However, when he shared the full story, they stopped pressuring him. Now, everyone who knows Louis and Lena is disgusted by their behavior. Despite us blocking their numbers and changing our locks, they persistently try to contact us. We're considering restraining orders if they don't stop soon. Meanwhile, I recently discovered that I'm pregnant. It's bittersweet knowing my father won't be part of my child's life, but Gabriel and I are excited about this unexpected blessing. We're preparing ourselves to welcome our little one into the world with open arms.
I'll let my parents live in this house. You can't even cook, so leave lol, Mark said to me with a grin, like he was proud of himself. I was so shocked I couldn't even respond. There is no way I would let my parents live in my house and then try to move in with my in-laws without my permission and try to kick me, the owner of the house, out. I've been bothered by Mark's bossy attitude for a while, but now it's really upsetting. I can't keep living with Mark if he keeps acting like this. I've decided that Mark needs to face consequences. My name is Sarah, and I'm a housewife in my 40s. I live with my husband, Mark. Mark is a house husband. He doesn't work but takes care of the housework because I have a job. I work to earn the money we need. All of this is to have a stable life with Mark, but it feels like my efforts are pointless. Mark has a very controlling personality. It's not that I think there's anything wrong with being a stay-at-home husband or that men should always work, but even though he's not working, he acts like he's the one in charge and is protecting the house. Out of the blue, Mark would say something like, "I'm so tired today, I want some ice cream, go buy it for me," while lounging in the living room at 11 p.m. The convenience store isn't far, but after a hard day at work, I was exhausted and annoyed by his demanding attitude. "Why don't you go get it yourself? It's just a short walk to the store," I replied, sounding harsher than I intended. That's how much Mark's behavior irritated me. When I refused, Mark chuckled and said, "You think that's how you should behave? You never know what will happen if you upset your husband. He always acts like he's the man of the house and deserves respect because of it." Honestly, I'm fed up with Mark acting superior and expecting respect just because he's the husband. Every time he behaves this way, I feel more and more frustrated and unwilling to deal with him. At that moment, I realized that if I kept dealing with Mark on top of my already stressful job, my stress would become unbearable. So I said, "I'm really tired. I'm sorry, I'm going to rest in my room." But Mark didn't like my response and stopped me, saying, "Wait, what's with that attitude towards your husband? I could kick you out right now if I wanted to. Do you think it's alright to upset your spouse like that?" He looked angry. Who does he think he's kidding, acting like the boss when he doesn't even work? He can upset me whenever he wants, but heaven forbid I upset him. It's just like a child's tantrum. "I'm sorry, but I'm really exhausted. Please understand," I said with a forced smile, not wanting to talk anymore. Mark sighed deeply and muttered, "You're such a disappointment as a wife." At this point, I didn't have the energy to argue, so I just said, "I'm sorry," again and went to my room. Day by day, I was worn down by Mark's overbearing behavior, but I didn't have the energy to confront him about it. That's how exhausted I was. Then one day, I caught a bad cold. The doctor said it was a stress-induced fever, and the first thing that came to my mind was Mark. I was so sick that I couldn't move, so I took a day off from work and could only lie down in bed. When I told Mark about my condition, he snapped, "A cold? That's just an excuse. Go to work, you're useless." His words seemed to make my fever spike even higher. He added, "I won't be taking care of you. This is your mess, deal with it." So I was left alone in my room, moaning from the fever. There were no ice packs or anything to help. I was too weak to prepare anything for myself, and I didn't want to face Mark again for fear of more verbal abuse. My temperature reached 103 degrees Fahrenheit. The fever was so high that my body was drenched in sweat. I couldn't even get up to change my clothes, even when they were soaked. I thought, how much easier would it be if I could just pass away with these thoughts? I endured a painful night alone. Maybe it was the fever, but I couldn't sleep at all. Even when the sun set and it was time to see the night sky, feelings of loneliness and doubt overwhelmed me, and it was unbearable. I really wanted Mark to help, not necessarily to bring down my fever, but just to get me an ice pack, bring a cold compress, and say, "Are you okay?" But that was just a fantasy. The words I actually received tore at my heart, leading to new anxieties that tormented me. Why must I be the only one to feel this way? What did I do wrong? Why can't things go well with Mark? Once these thoughts started, I couldn't stop the tears. It was just so painful. After about 3 days of rest, my fever finally subsided and I was able to return to work. My colleagues and bosses were concerned, asking, "Are you sure you're all right?" But my health was improving, and more than anything, I had to support the household. When I mentioned that I couldn't afford to take more time off, they seemed even more worried. Their kindness, which was so much more than the attitude I received from Mark, brought tears to my eyes. I guess my emotional breaking point was close. A voice inside me was screaming that I couldn't deal with Mark any longer. I was ignoring that, pushing myself too hard. This way of life wouldn't last forever. Someday I'd reach my limit and wouldn't be able to get back up. Deep down I knew that, but I didn't have the presence of mind to deal with the situation before reaching my limit. By this time my affection for Mark had already faded, but I didn't have the energy to start planning to live separately. How could I clear these feelings? With these worries I worked hard every day, came home exhausted, and dealt with Mark's whims. This was my daily life. One day while I was relaxing in my room, Mark called out, "I have something important to discuss. Come here." It had been a long time since we had a serious talk. Usually Mark wouldn't inform me about various things and would make significant decisions on his own, so with a sinking feeling, I wondered what this was about. As I sat down for the discussion, Mark, with an excitement I'd never seen before, said, "I'll let my parents live in this house. You can't even cook, so leave." Oh. The first word that slipped out was, "What?" "You need to leave because you're living with my in-laws," he continued. I couldn't accept the reality of Mark's utterly selfish remarks, but he continued pushing forward with the conversation. He wanted to change the ownership of the house so it belonged to him and his parents. He planned to divorce me and start a new family, stating that his decision was final, and my opinions wouldn't change it. I felt overwhelmed by decisions made without any regard for my feelings. My parents were thrilled when I suggested they move in with us. They've missed me, and I need to take care of them as the head of the household. Mark, full of himself with his man-of-the-house mentality, only thought about his own needs. I knew I couldn't go on with Mark any longer. My heart told me it was impossible. Ignoring my feelings, Mark chuckled, "You love me so much, don't you? I know this is shocking coming from a husband you love so dearly, but I'm sorry. I just want to take care of my family. Please understand," Mark said in a tone that felt like a rebuke. But I wanted to respond, "That's not true at all." I had no affection left for Mark. What remained was disbelief at his selfish actions and regret for not ending things sooner. Why hadn't I left him earlier? If I had, Mark wouldn't have taken advantage of me so much or been so selfish and arrogant. I even despised my past self for being too weak to let him go. Seeing my distress, Mark seemed to misunderstand, thinking I still loved him and didn't want a divorce. But that couldn't be further from the truth. My feelings for Mark had faded long ago. All that was left was disgust for a man who thought I still cared despite everything. To make myself clear, I spoke up, "Fine then, I'll leave." At those words, Mark exclaimed, "What?" Clearly he hadn't expected me to agree to a divorce and leave so readily. He needed to realize that the old me, who used to bail him out, was gone for good. From now on, whatever happens to Mark, I won't be there to help him because we won't be a couple anymore. Seeing my determination, Mark looked shocked and frozen in place. I seized the moment to head to my room and pack the essentials. I couldn't take larger items today, so I'd have to arrange for movers later. As I prepared to leave, Mark hurried over and asked, "Are you sure about this? If we divorce, we'll be strangers." I smiled and replied, "I've already fallen out of love with you. Letting go feels like a weight lifted off my shoulders." Hearing this, Mark stood there looking lost. I nodded, said, "Thanks for everything," and walked out of the house. Mark had a worried look on his face. After I returned to my parents' place and explained everything, they were furious with Mark's behavior at first, but calmed down once they knew I had a plan. I started recovering at my parents' home while sorting out various matters, starting with the divorce. After sending the divorce papers, I received a message from Mark. "Are you sure about this? I don't know if it's really a good thing, but I don't have any feelings for you anymore. If we've gone this far and he says there's no divorce, that would be a problem. I feel so much better now that you're gone, so fill out the divorce papers quickly." When I replied, there was no response. A few days later, I received completed divorce papers from Mark, with his sections already filled out. I promptly completed my parts and submitted them to the county office on the same day. Now Mark and I are officially divorced. I no longer have to support the household as Mark's wife. During the divorce, we divided our assets. Mark got the house as he had originally insisted on it, so I transferred ownership to him and decided to move on. The house was never really comfortable for me anyway. It had been more of a burden. Instead, I decided to seek alimony from Mark. His parents covered it since he wasn't working, but now he's actively job hunting, likely planning to repay them once he finds a decent job. However, reality doesn't always follow plans. A month passed after the divorce was finalized, and I moved out of my parents' home into a new place, enjoying a peaceful life. Then I received a call from Mark. Honestly, I found it annoying. I immediately guessed why he was calling, but ignoring him might lead to more complications. So, knowing I'd have to talk to him sooner or later, I decided to address it now for the sake of my own future. "Hello, what do you want after all this time?" I was completely fed up with dealing with Mark. I wanted him to get to the point quickly. Reluctantly, I answered the phone, and he pleaded, "Please help me." His desperate tone made me chuckle. I knew Mark was in a tough spot, but I hadn't expected it to be this bad. "Well, what's going on? You need to tell me the whole story," I replied, half amused. I had a feeling about why Mark was in trouble, but I wanted him to explain it himself. When I pressed him, Mark started explaining hesitantly, stumbling over his words. He had taken over the house after our divorce and managed fine for a month. But now he had a rent payment due. Being unemployed, he couldn't cover it himself, so he asked my former parents-in-law, who were on a pension, to help out. However, the bill was much higher than they expected, around $1,800. There was no way they could afford that on their fixed income. My former in-laws were furious, insisting, "This isn't what we agreed to." They laid the blame squarely on Mark, Lost and uncertain, Mark called me in tears, asking for help. I didn't realize the rent would be so high. The place is a mess now. What are you going to do about it? Frustrated, Mark was now blaming me. It was true I hadn't mentioned the rent specifics earlier, but it was Mark's own folly to take over the house without knowing its monthly costs. He had treated me like an outsider and pushed me away, and now he was facing the consequences of his actions. Despite this, he couldn't accept responsibility and instead reached out to me for help. I couldn't help but sigh at his audacity. Ignoring my feelings, Mark continued urgently, "Please, I need your help. We can't keep going like this. I need you." His desperation was clear in his voice. They must be feeling incredibly trapped right now. The rent due date had likely passed, meaning they might already be behind. The landlord of that house was known for their short temper and strict policy on rent payments. I remembered being warned repeatedly when I rented the house, never be late with the rent. If they missed a payment, they were in for serious trouble with the owner. Mark had met the landlord a couple of times and knew how intimidating they could be. He must have been desperate when he called me for help. "Please just cover the rent for 1 month. I don't have anyone else to turn to. You still care about me, right? If someone you care about is in trouble, you should help them out," Mark pleaded, his tone still self-centered. "My feelings for you have long since faded." I wanted to say those words, but I held back and replied coldly, "I'm sorry, but I don't have any obligation to help you. You were the one who cut me off. Now you expect me to assist you when it's convenient for you? That's not fair." Mark defended himself. "Please don't be so cold. I really can't handle this alone. Whether you still love me or not doesn't matter now. We were married once, right? Can't you help me out just this once?" "No, you were the one who left me. Even before that, my feelings for you had already cooled. It's been a long time since I stopped loving you." When I heard Mark's dejected voice on the other end of the phone saying, "I can't believe it," it struck a chord deep within me. For so long, I endured everything. Even when Mark was selfish, took me for granted or mistreated me when I was sick, I stayed by his side, hoping to salvage our marriage. I worked tirelessly for the life we had, but this was the outcome. Why hadn't I left sooner when my love for him faded? Why didn't I distance myself earlier? These regrets flooded in, mingling with the anger I felt towards him. Mark never truly faced me. He never showed real concern, never protected me, and never embraced the idea of navigating life together as a team. All this time, he treated me like a maid, a mere money-making machine. Each time he acted this way, he seemed oblivious to my suffering. Yet now, despite all this being a result of his actions, he came pleading for help as if he were the victim. His self-centered attitude was repelling. "Please help me, I'm begging you. What about getting married again? Let's start over properly this time. I promise I'll never push you away again," Mark proposed, desperately. I couldn't help but chuckle bitterly at Mark's desperate suggestion. "Remarry you? Are you kidding me? All of this is the result of your own actions. I've been trying to work things out in my own way for a long, long time. I kept hoping you would face reality. And now you want me to start over with you, pretending none of that ever happened? Do you expect me to go back to those miserable days? That's never going to happen. I refuse to return to that life, no matter what." I became so emotional that tears started flowing. I couldn't tell if they were from anger or sadness. Mark remained silent in response to my words. Unable to continue the conversation any longer, I simply said, "Goodbye," and hung up. Mark didn't call back, and wanting to avoid hearing his voice ever again, I blocked his number. Later I heard from mutual friends that Mark and his family were evicted from their home. Mark attempted to persuade my former in-laws to cover his rent, but they were furious, refusing his request and upsetting the landlord in the process. Left with no choice, they had to leave. Mark hasn't had much success finding a full-time job and is now working part-time to get by. Because they had to sell their house, my former in-laws are now squeezed into a rundown apartment, all three of them together. Meanwhile, I've been deeply focused on my work, and my boss has even discussed a promotion with me. There's a possibility I might become the first female manager in our company, and I've been receiving admiration from both colleagues and juniors. Sometimes friends inquire, "Aren't you thinking about getting married?" Honestly, after my past experiences, I have a rather negative view of marriage. The idea of dating or marrying again doesn't appeal to me right now, but life is long and there's no rush. Many people in this generation live their entire lives happily unmarried. What matters most to me is living a life without regrets and staying true to myself. With that in mind, I want to continue navigating life at my own pace.
Everyone has one or two secrets they'd rather keep hidden, and I'm no different. When I was younger, I was quite wild. Now, I'm a quiet and unassuming woman, but losing my parents at 15 sent me down a wrong path. I ended up joining a gang of troublemakers. I got some of the girls from the gang together and started our own group. Because my dad made me learn wrestling when I was a kid, I was known around town for being really strong, even stronger than the boys. My time in that world ended after I met someone special, but living that kind of life leaves some issues behind. My name is Nancy, and now I'm 35. I live as an ordinary housewife and work at a local supermarket. With my light makeup and quiet personality, no one would guess that I once wore bright makeup and rode motorcycles. Yes, I was in a gang and even led a group of girls. But then I met my husband Joshua and everything changed. It all began 10 years ago during a fight with another gang. They were always causing trouble whenever we met. One day, things got really intense. Joshua stepped in unexpectedly to help his brother, who was part of the other gang. As everyone was fighting and falling, Joshua and I were the only ones left standing. I even remember him laughing when he realized his brother wasn't even there. Despite the chaos, Joshua seemed really calm and composed. I couldn't help but notice. "Hey, you're pretty cool," I said to him. "Me? Really? Looking like this? You must have some strange tastes. Were you calling out for someone named Noah? Did you find him?" "No, it turns out my brother wasn't here." That's how our quiet chat began. Joshua's brother was a troublemaker beyond saving. Joshua even took up boxing to try and set him straight. He couldn't stand by and watch wrongdoing happen. He seemed like a guy full of fairness. As we talked more, we got closer. We started seeing each other more often, and it was clear we liked each other. But Joshua didn't like troublemakers back then. Even though we liked each other, my past in the gang held us back. Eventually, Joshua said he'd only be with me if I left the gang for good. Tired of all the pointless fights, I decided to leave the group. We started dating and got married 5 years later. The gang I used to be in got broken up by another group 2 years after I left. After marrying Joshua, I changed a lot and became a calm and graceful woman. But our peaceful life got shaken up by a certain neighbor, Joshua's sister Somia and her husband. One morning, as I was seeing Joshua off to work, the doorbell rang. Who could that be? I wondered. I'll check. Suddenly, Joshua looked surprised. "Somia," he exclaimed, recognizing his sister, whom I had met once at a family dinner. "Hey Joshua, we've moved in next door today. Please take care of us," she said. "Hello, I'm Tommy, Somia's husband. Looking forward to getting along," he added. They started off with a rude attitude, but since Sonia was Joshua's sister, I couldn't be too confrontational. We usually got along with our in-laws, so I didn't want to start any trouble. It turns out Tony was the one who got Joshua's brother Noah into the troublemaking world. They went to the same high school and were a year younger than Joshua. Joshua turned 34 this year, so they must be 33. Somia, who's 3 years younger than Joshua, should be 31. "Joshua, too bad about your brother, huh?" Tony remarked. "I don't care about Noah anymore. Even you." Joshua was visibly angry. His brother had passed away due to a fight. Joshua's brother and sister apparently never got along well. Sonia felt ignored in favor of her brother and developed a rivalry, which eventually extended to Joshua as well. Joshua once mentioned how tough it was to deal with his sister, preferring to focus only on his brother. Unlike me, Sonia was also in a delinquent group before. Unlike her, Noah was forced into it by Tommy. Seeing his siblings change, Joshua probably felt even more determined about justice. As the three of them stared each other down, I spoke up from behind Joshua. "Joshua, you need to leave for work soon." "All right," he replied. "Running away, Joshua. Remember, I haven't forgotten that you laid hands on me," Sonia sneered. "That was because you attacked Noah." "All right, both of you enough. We're done here," Sonia declared. With Somia's words, Joshua left for work, the issue still unresolved. But then the harassment from Sonia and her husband began. About an hour after Joshua left, the doorbell rang, but nobody was there when I checked. Another hour passed, and there was a loud noise at the door, like something was being thrown. When I looked, there was a pile of cardboard boxes dumped in front of our door. "What's going on?" I muttered to myself. Since nobody was around, I decided to ignore it and went back inside. But then I heard a small popping sound from the balcony. I rushed over and found 3 broken eggs. We live in a corner apartment next to Somia's new place. This means the harassment likely came from her apartment since there are no neighbors on one side, and it's too high for someone from below. Angry, I decided to confront my next-door neighbors. "Hey, is that you? What do you want? Showing up like this?" Somia greeted me, clearly irritated. Is this your idea of a prank? Throwing eggs on our balcony? It had to be you or your husband. The angle only makes sense from your balcony. Sonia glared at me and said, "What? Don't be ridiculous. Do you have any proof that we did it? Making false accusations won't help. I'll call the cops." Even though she used to be in a gang, her quick resort to the police in this situation seemed odd to me. "I don't have proof, but the way the eggs are scattered, they could only come from your balcony." I tried to stay calm, but Sonia kept arguing back. "That's weak proof." "Hey Tony, the lady next door is complaining," she said to her husband. Hearing this, Tony chimed in. "Hey, just because you're Joshua's wife doesn't mean you'll get any special treatment." If Sonia's reliance on the police seemed second-rate, Tony's words weren't much better. He might have thought he was intimidating, but to me, it was anything but scary. I could feel my old self stirring inside me, but I didn't want to go back to my past. So I acted like a timid, unassuming woman and said quietly, "Please don't raise your voice." Inside, I wanted to unleash a powerful kick to shut him up. But since meeting Joshua, I had changed for the better, and I didn't want to throw away all my progress over something like this. Seeing my reaction, they both laughed in front of me. "Aha, so you're Joshua's wife. I thought you'd be something special, but you're just a boring woman." "Weak. Tony was giving you too much credit. At the family dinner, you seemed like a real introvert." "Just a kick won't be enough. I might have to dislocate a joint or two to calm myself down," I thought, trying to control my rising anger. "Go on, leave," they told me, and then closed the door on me. I stood there, staring at the closed door, feeling frustrated. I thought about telling Joshua, but I knew Sonia and her husband would just pretend they didn't know anything. It would only lead to more trouble and stress for me, so I decided not to bother. The next day, and the day after that, the harassment from Sonia and her husband continued. It always started after Joshua left for work. "Who left this garbage at our doorstep? It must be those two," I muttered as I was about to leave for work at the supermarket. The door got stuck halfway, blocked by a bag of garbage. I reluctantly took it to the disposal area and then headed to work. 5 hours later, I came home to something unbelievable. There was a cardboard box in front of the door, set up like a table. On either side of the box, there were lit candles, and in the middle, a vase with flowers. Above the door, there was a photo of me, taken who knows when, stuck there, mocking me as if I were dead. Furious, I was about to kick the cardboard away when Joshua called from behind. "Nancy." Startled, I turned around to find Joshua, who had come home from work. "You're an hour early." "I got off work early today. What's all this?" Joshua was also surprised at the sight in front of the door. We quickly cleaned up the cardboard and candles from the shared hallway and went inside. There, I told Joshua everything that had happened. "So it's likely Sonia and her husband, but we don't have any proof. Even if we confront them, they'll just deny it," I said. After a moment of thought, Joshua had an idea. "Let's buy cameras, one for the balcony and one for the entrance, especially hidden well at the entrance." I agreed with Joshua's suggestion. There was only so much more we could take. We immediately purchased cameras online and had them delivered to Joshua's workplace to avoid suspicion. "For now, we'll just have to endure until the cameras arrive. Then we can fight back with evidence." "Got it," I replied, so I dealt with Sonia's mean behavior at her house for a few days. For many people, putting up with stuff like this means not fighting back because they're scared or not strong enough. But for me, it was different. I wanted to fight back, but I held myself back. If it was okay to use force, I would have already stood up to them. It was really frustrating having the power to do something but not being able to. After 3 days, Joshua brought home some cameras. Any more trouble? The usual. Today they even threw a fish head onto the balcony. "Let's put up the cameras now. We'll hide one behind the air conditioner on our balcony, aiming at Sonia's, and another near the fire extinguisher by the entrance." The next day after setting up the cameras, Sonia started being mean again. As Joshua left for work, I watched everything through a recording app. And just like clockwork, Sonia and her friends started their antics. I watched quietly and left for work when it was time. 2 hours into my shift at the supermarket, Sonia came to my register. Well, if it isn't my sister-in-law," she said. I quietly scanned Sonia's items. It was obvious from her tone that she knew it was me, and she was being really rude. "Aren't you cold for a cash eater?" Shouldn't you be nicer? Come on, give me a discount on this. Other customers in line looked worried as they watched us. A man in the line spoke up to Sonia. Hey, can't you see she's uncomfortable? Sonia turned to him, looking angry. Shut up, it's none of your business. The man seemed defeated by Sonia's reaction and backed away, leaving the line. Then, I spoke up to Sonia for the first time. Ma'am, if you keep acting this way, I'll have to call security. I said it calmly but firmly. Maybe because others were watching, Sonia replied. Oh, it was just a joke. So disappointing. She left the store, leaving her items behind. The other customers were surprised by what happened. I was really mad when I got home from work. There was a note on the door that said, useless cashier. That's enough. I couldn't handle it anymore. I angrily tore off the note and waited nervously for Joshua to come back. When he got home, we watched the footage from the cameras. It clearly showed Sonia and her husband doing bad things. Now we can fight back, Joshua said, looking angry. Okay, let's go. When we rang Sonia's doorbell, Tommy answered. You two again. What do you want now? Sonia came up behind him, asking lazily, What's up, Joshua? We're ready to fight back, I thought as I started to speak, but Joshua stopped me and stepped forward. Nancy, let me handle this. Sonia told me if you keep bothering us, there will be consequences. Joshua's voice was firm and threatening. Tony replied, What, you want to fight? You got proof we did anything? You're just making accusations. Before Tony could finish, Joshua played the video from the recording app. This video shows what you've been doing wrong. We put up cameras because your harassment was too much. This made Sonia and Tony quiet, which was unusual for them. Sonia looked a bit worried and turned to Tony, while Tony glared back at us with a deep frown. You caught us this time, I said seriously. But remember, the trouble started from your side. Tony replied, So you want to solve this with a fight, huh? Hold on, Joshua, I'm calling someone. Call whoever you want. We'll be ready, Joshua said firmly, not backing down as things got more intense. Tommy urgently talked into the phone. William, I need help now. His tone was different from before, now begging for help. After hanging up, he turned back to us. Get ready. Willie, the toughest guy around here, is coming. He looked smug, thinking he'd win with someone else's help, but it showed he was really a coward. Why not face us yourself? I asked. Keep talking. I know your strength. This time, I brought someone special to make sure you both feel real fear, Tommy said, trying to scare us. 5 minutes later, William arrived, the guy Tommy had talked big about, but he looked surprised when he saw us. William, hey, it's been a while. Sonia and Tommy seemed excited, expecting a lot from him, but that excitement quickly faded. What's happening? Yeah, it's been a while, Will, I said, calling him Will, which left Sonia and Tommy puzzled. Joshua greeted him too. Hey Will, long time no see. The couple looked even more confused. Confused, Tommy asked, What's going on? How do you know William? Tommy looked nervous and William looked between us. I just said, Will, let's not do this, okay? Angry, Tony snapped, Stop messing around. Will, do something please. Sonia and Tony were panicking, not understanding what was happening. But then Will spoke up. Hey, did you mess with Nancy? His question left them shocked for a moment. So what if we did? Tommy answered, sounding unsure. Will exploded, You idiots. Do you even know who you're dealing with? His scolding left them stunned. They clearly had no clue. Seeing this, I turned to Joshua and asked, Hey, can I go back to how I was 15 years ago just for now? But instead of Joshua, it was Will who replied, Nancy, please don't. If you do something, it could get worse than just a fight. What, are you giving me orders now, Will? No, that's not what I meant, Will stuttered. Seeing the guy they called for help now apologizing to me, Sonia and Tony were confused. What's going on here? They looked scared as Will talked. Do you two know about BBN? Yeah, that's right. It's famous. It stands for Black Butterfly Nancy, right? The nickname of the former leader of a ladies' group. That's correct, and this lady here is Nancy herself. No way, really? Both of them lost their tough act instantly. Will continued. Back then, I led another group, but we got beat by Nancy's group. She could handle 30 people alone. Sonia and Tommy now looked at me with fear. It made sense. They thought they were picking on someone weaker, only to find out she was the leader of a group they used to be a part of. I didn't know Nancy was practically a legend. We joined the group 6 months after you left, Somia said. They joined after I left. Will had been in the group with me and stayed even after I left, looking after Somia and Tommy. He left just before a rival group took us down. By then, Tony was the leader. Before you ruined it, the group was unbeatable. You can't mess with Nancy, Will said. The group that took us down is now the strongest. But if Nancy was still around, she'd still be the strongest. Seeing Somia and Tony crumble, Will turned to me and said, "Please forgive them for my sake." Watching Will apologize, Somia and Tony seemed defeated. They never expected their call for help to go so wrong. "Fine, but you owe us," I said, glaring at them. They let out a small gasp. "For a month, you'll clean this apartment and our balcony since you made a mess. If you miss even one day, I won't be so nice next time." "Okay," Somia agreed, clearly intimidated. Tommy just nodded vigorously, unable to speak. Watching them, Will remarked, "Nobody can really challenge Nancy." Hearing this, Joshua, who had been quiet until now, finally spoke up. "But I don't like troublemakers. If Nancy hadn't changed, I wouldn't be here." He said it softly, and I looked up at him. "Don't worry, I won't let that side of me out again." At this, Will burst into laughter, and we all ended up laughing together. Will and Joshua knew each other because we met after I left the group. We ran into Will while on a date and ended up having tea together. "Now that's settled. Why don't you join us for dinner, Will?" The three of us left Sonia and Tommy slumped by the entrance and went to our apartment. Before going inside, Joshua added, "Sonia, you're my sister, so I'll let it go this time. But there won't be a next time." Watching him, I wondered if he too had that same fighting spirit as us. From that day on, Sonia and her husband stopped bothering us. They kept their promise and cleaned our balcony and the shared areas of the apartment. Even though they were just troublemakers doing chores, other residents stopped paying them much attention after a while. After a month, Sonia and her husband left without a word. Even Joshua, their family, didn't know where they went. Maybe they felt uncomfortable staying there. We didn't bother looking for them further and thought they made a wise decision. Finally, we had our peaceful life back. Neighborhood problems are common, but I never thought I'd be so involved. At least it ended well. I have a past I'd rather not talk about. Joshua has kept it secret all this time. I'm not ashamed of everything in my past, but I've learned from my mistakes. I just want to cherish my life with Joshua now, and I hope to never show my true self to anyone again. That's all I'm thinking about now. Geez, your mom only went to middle school and works part-time. Do you just care about money? When my mom told my future father-in-law she was a janitor, everyone laughed. He sneered seriously. "A cleaning lady, that's as low as it gets." It hurt me deep. They were making fun of my mom who raised me on her own. It was so mean. I couldn't imagine being related to them. "Let's just forget this happened," I said coldly, trying to move on. "My name's Emily Yale. I'm 26. I graduated from a public college with a teaching degree, and now I teach English at a public high school. I enjoy my life. Today, I'm going on a date with my boyfriend, John, on a weekday, something we haven't done in a while. We're going to a restaurant he picked." "Sorry, I'm late. You've had a busy week," John said when he got there. "You too. Thanks for all your hard work," I said. John, my age, finished medical school and is now a resident doctor. We met in college and have been dating for 5 years. He's really kind and genuine, almost too good for me. Sometimes when we're both stressed with exams, we'd argue, but we always make up and help each other. As I ate dessert, I noticed this restaurant was fancier than usual. Suddenly, John got serious. "My residency's ending soon. Being a doctor is tough, but I want us to be together through it all. Emily, will you marry me?" He showed me a ring. Tears filled my eyes as I looked at him. "Yes, I'm so happy. We can always rely on each other," I said, my voice shaking, as I accepted his proposal. I thought my mom would be happy for us, but she seemed hesitant. My mom, Linda, lost her husband when I was young and raised me by herself. My grandpa once suggested we live together, but she wanted just us two. I met my grandparents for the first time in elementary school because I got married against my parents' wishes. I was young and stubborn, so I didn't rely on them right away. My mom always says, "I might have caused you to suffer because of that." But I never felt that way. She's always been positive, kind, and loving. She's the most important person in my life and who I want to be like. When John and I went to tell my mom about our engagement, she blessed us with all her heart. John said, "Thank you. I'm excited for our future." My mom was almost in tears, happy for us. I said, "We should also tell your parents." "Thank you. I didn't see my family much since boarding school and college, but they'll be happy. Make sure to introduce yourself properly to John's family. You're becoming part of their family," my mom said, fully supporting us. I heard John's family are all doctors. His dad owns a hospital, and his mom stays at home. He also has a younger brother who's 8 years younger. I hope we get along, but meeting them makes me nervous. "Don't worry, I'll find us a place to live," John said. "Thanks. I'm nervous, but I'm excited too." I believed a bright future was ahead of us until that day, the meetup, 2 months later. We waited in a fancy restaurant's private room as John's parents and brother arrived a bit late. "Nice to meet you. This is my mom. My dad runs a clinic. Mom's a full-time housewife. And this is my brother, a high school senior." John introduced them. We introduced our families. John's doctor parents looked impressive, but his brother seemed more casual with messy hair and a disheveled uniform, glued to his phone. Then John said, "I want to marry her." His dad gently corrected him. "First, let's learn about her family. If we're becoming family, we should understand their background and character," his mom added, assessing us with serious eyes. "Where's your father today?" his dad asked. I've told John to say we're a single-parent household. Something's off. My dad passed away when I was young, so my mom raised me alone, I explained. His brother exaggeratedly twisted his face and said, "Seriously? Just one parent? Ridiculous." The one with the attitude crossing his legs was John's arrogant younger brother. "What's that supposed to mean? My mom raised me alone, and I'm thankful for it," I said, raising my voice. "Mind your manners and put away your phone," John scolded him, and his brother turned away angrily. "You're a high school teacher, right?" his mom asked me this time. "Yes, I teach English at a public high school," I replied. As soon as I spoke, his family all chimed in at once. "A teacher? None of us are teachers, and she's in humanities. Isn't she unsuitable for our son? We wanted him to marry a doctor's daughter. A public high school teacher seems plain and poor. I'm in a totally different world. I already have a recommendation for medical school," they said bluntly. John, shocked by their words, spoke up. "She's an amazing woman. She's dedicated to her job. Don't talk about her like that." Then his dad glanced at my mom. "We haven't agreed to their marriage yet. A single mother and a teacher. What about you, ma'am? Can we ask about your education and job?" My mom replied firmly, "I've done different jobs since my husband died. Right now, I work as a janitor at a hospital. I only finished middle school." Before my mom finished, his family started laughing. "Oh, she only went to middle school and does part-time work. Must have been very poor." His father dismissed my mother. "Seriously, even with just a high school diploma, you're in a tough spot." So now she's a cleaning lady. Lowest of the low, his younger brother sneered. "Your mom only finished middle school and works part-time." I couldn't even imagine such a life. Marrying into a family of doctors, I couldn't comprehend their attitude. Was this marriage just for money? His mother's dramatic frown delivered the final blow. "As I suspected, we can't approve this marriage," his father declared, as if it were final. How terrible. I was stunned, speechless. Insulting me was one thing, but mocking my mother who raised me alone was unforgivable. I couldn't be part of this family. Stopping my mother from standing, I stood up. "I understand how you all feel, so let's pretend this meeting never happened. Is that acceptable?" With a cold, emotionless face, I declared. After a moment of silence, his family exchanged glances and burst into laughter. "I thought you had something important to say. We're the ones calling off the engagement. Did you realize we were going to reject you and decided to end it first out of pride?" his parents said, smug. "Wait, that's not it." John couldn't stand his parents' behavior. "I'm sorry. I can't be part of this family. I'm really sorry for their rudeness." Seeing our serious conversation, his parents paused their laughter. "Why are you apologizing? You should find a more suitable partner. Maybe another doctor or a wealthy woman," they said. I stopped John from saying more and asked, "Would it have been better if I were a rich heiress?" "Of course. Even if you're not a doctor, being rich wouldn't be a problem." You could help our hospital, right, dear? That might even be better for us. His parents laughed, continuing their show. So, you're saying you'd pass up such an opportunity? I challenged. What do you mean? They looked confused. By marrying our son, you'd gain some wealth. Where would a janitor and a regular teacher get that kind of money? John sighed heavily, rubbing his temples. What's going on? You're acting strange, his dad said, oblivious. Did you even listen to their introductions? Does the name Yale not mean anything to you? John asked. What about it? Not worth remembering such a family, his dad replied. Yale, huh? His dad seemed to catch on. Right? My grandpa chairs Yale University, and she's his daughter. Yale Academy, that elite place with everything from kindergarten to university? It has a medical school and hospital. His dad's eyes widened. Yeah, that Yale. You've heard of it, right? I said, taking charge. No way. A Yale Academy daughter dropping out of middle school to become a janitor? That's impossible, his parents exclaimed. Exactly. Your lie will be found out right away. If you're feeling guilty, come up with a better lie, I advised them. My mom works as a janitor in hospitals and schools, right? I'm talking about the hospitals and grad schools at Yale. What? She's undercover as a janitor? That's fancy talk for spying, right? Her job is to check on the school while cleaning and report any problems. My grandpa asked her to do it. If you don't believe it, go check, John explained. What? What? My detailed explanation seemed to convince them. His parents started to panic. Why didn't you tell us this sooner? Yes, if we knew that, we would have. This is what happens when you don't listen to people, his parents admitted, feeling foolish. I was about to explain further when I was cut off. I was ready to answer any questions, but it was unfortunate. I couldn't forgive how they insulted my mom. I quietly responded, my mom dropped out of middle school due to poor health since childhood. She had a brother to carry on the family line, so my grandpa prioritized her health over education. After middle school, she moved to a country house for ongoing treatment and rest. There, she fell in love with my dad. She argued with my grandparents, who wanted her to marry into a suitable family and left home to marry. They didn't rely on her family at all. But when my dad died and she raised me alone, my grandparents suggested we come back. She didn't agree immediately. I was stubborn, she said. She felt guilty for leaving and then asking to return. Over time, they wanted to see their grandchild and their relationship improved. Changing her name back to Yale was for my sake. His brother was stunned. So I told him, it seems you've been recommended for medical school. Which university? What? John's brother was caught off guard by the sudden change in topic. Oh, so it's Vassar College's medical? Oh. His mother realized something as she said that. Vassar College is linked to Yale. If I mention today's events, your admission recommendation could be canceled, right? Hey, don't joke. Our son got in, and nothing can change that. We even pay extra to cover his grades. Canceling it now would be ridiculous. His dad slipped up, admitting to bribery. Both John and I said together, you went that far, Dad. No, it's not. His father was clearly flustered, his mom and brother turning pale beside him. Treating admissions so lightly, was it all about money? Did you bribe his teacher? I pressed. No, I already said. The president of Vassar College is my uncle. If I report this, he'll investigate thoroughly, I warned. What right do you have? You're so arrogant, his mom snapped, her face red with anger. I hold no authority here, but I was told I'd eventually work at Yale. I explained calmly. Say what now? His mother's tone softened. Oh, let's calm down. Let's forget what's happened. Your behavior will determine if I approve of this marriage. Is that fair? Yeah. Our son is also the clinic's heir. He needs our approval to marry. You want to marry John, right? His father was on board, and his brother added, just let them get married and don't cut me out. Faced with their selfishness, John exploded, I don't need your permission. I'm cutting ties with you all. What? His family was stunned. I always thought you were pretentious because we're doctors, but I never expected this at our first meeting with my partner. What are you saying? Fine, cut us off. Facing his speechless parents, he continued, unashamed of how you treated her and her mom, and bribing for my brother's admission. I despise you. I'm marrying her and being happy. Stay out of our lives. With that, his parents were flustered. So, you're not taking over the clinic? If our other son doesn't get into medical school, there's no hair. He brushed off his parents. I'm not taking over. I've been asked to work as a surgeon after Yale. I'm considering that over working at your clinic. What? I don't care. Let him take over. Wait, we have patients counting on you. That's right. We'll be in trouble if you don't take over. Ignoring the chaos, he turned to my mom. I'm sorry. I want to cut ties with my family and build a home with your daughter. Please let us marry. His voice trembled a bit. You don't need to apologize. I didn't fall for you because you're a doctor. I fell in love with your kindness and sincerity. My mom, standing beside him, nodded. That's right. You're kind and respectable. Being a surgeon is amazing. I support your dreams and happiness. Thank you. I'd appreciate it. He continued to bow, and my mom smiled. His family watched in shock. Mom, let's go home. There's no point in staying. Agreed. We'll leave. If you need anything, contact us. My mom left Yale's legal advisor's business card as she left. 1 year has passed since then, and John and I are happily married, living together. He's been working diligently as a skilled surgeon at the hospital after graduating from Yale. Despite his busy schedule and lack of sleep, I'm glad to see his enthusiasm for his work. My grandfather, who admires him, hopes he'll join our university's hospital in the future. As for his family, the truth about my brother-in-law's bribery came out, and the teacher who took the money was punished. His admission was revoked, and he's now trying to get into med school through regular channels. But it's tough given his attitude. His parents' clinic struggled because of the director's arrogance. Patients left when they realized John wouldn't take over, and most of the staff quit due to his mom's behavior. They faced social backlash and eventually closed the clinic. As for me, I've started studying educational administration at my grandfather's suggestion. He hopes I'll contribute to managing our institutions. With guidance from my uncle and seniors, I'm learning and growing. My mom said, it's great to see our family grow closer. I'm truly happy to hear that. I want to give back more in the future. Though my days are busy, I'm grateful for the support from my mom and husband. Nadia, you're being lazy again. Oops. It's Kelly. I try to get up, but my body won't move. The door slides open, and Kelly comes in, sounding angry. Why are you taking a break? Just because you're a daughter-in-law? Kelly comes over to me and does something shocking. She takes away the cushion I'm sitting on. What? I fall back on the floor as she takes the cushion. I quickly cover my stomach with my hands but feel a sharp pain. It seems Kelly kicked me in the belly when I fell. Get up already. With that annoying belly, I should give you another one. I felt hopeless, but someone was watching. They made Kelly sit down and scolded her. Because of that person, I was saved. My name is Nadia. I'm 30 years old and I'm pregnant. Even though I have some health problems because of the pregnancy, the happiness of carrying the baby of the person I love keeps me strong. Nadia, are you okay? If you feel bad, tell me. Yeah, thanks. We're heading to my parents' house to share the news about the baby. Tom's driving, keeping an eye on me. I told Tom first about the pregnancy. When I shared it after his work, he was exhausted but thrilled. Whether it's a boy or a girl, all that matters is a healthy baby, he said, getting emotional, which made me tear up. I wondered if the people we're going to tell will be as happy. Are you feeling nervous? A little, I admit. Tom smiles at me, and I manage a faint smile back. If we were telling my biological parents, maybe I wouldn't be so anxious. It's a bit complicated. I lost my mom when I was young. Since then, my dad has been raising my brother and me alone. It must have been really tough. I love my dad a lot. When my brother moved out after getting married, and it was my turn, I worried about leaving my father alone. Dad, want to live together. After discussing it with Tom, I proposed this to my father, but his reply surprised me. You know, I've been thinking of remarrying. It turned out he had been close to a woman for a while, so I gained a new mother. When we arrived at my parents' house, my new mother welcomed us. Hello, welcome. Mom, it's been a while. Even though I call her Mom, it feels strange every time. She became my mother after I moved out, so I've hardly spent time with her. Unlike my easygoing father, she always seems strict. Simply put, she's not easy to get along with. Today I have something I want you all to hear. Beside my father sat my new mother, and beside me Tom. After we all gathered in the living room, I nervously shared my news. Oh, what is it? Well, it's still early, but I'm pregnant. Really? Congratulations, that's wonderful. My dad's face lit up with joy, his usual laugh lines showing. I'm going to be a grandpa. Looks like it's time for me to start feeling old. I can't wait to be a dad. I'm so thrilled. While Tom and my dad chatted happily, I quietly watched my mom's reaction. She didn't show much expression, hard to figure out. What was she thinking? Just as I wondered, she got up and left the room. Should I go after her? I hesitated, but she quickly returned. She had a thin blanket and a cushion in her hands. Nadia, use these. This room can get chilly. Oh, thank you. I felt a bit happy realizing she was worried about me, but my mom always seemed stern. Was it her cold, serious manner that made her hard to approach? A simple congratulations would have meant a lot to me. Maybe then we could have become closer. I was lost in these hopeful thoughts. We planned to leave right after sharing the news, but my brother and his wife, Kelly, dropped by, changing our plans. Tom and I live about an hour's drive from my parents' house, while my brother and Kelly are just a 5-minute drive away. They often visit on days off like today. It was an unexpected meeting, but a good chance to share my pregnancy news. No way. Ah, you beat me to it. That's too bad, my brother joked, pretending to be disappointed. Kelly lightly tapped his head. What are you saying? First, congrats. Congratulations, Nadia. Thank you. Kelly had a vibe similar to my mom's, direct and kind, but a bit intimidating. Honestly, I'm envious. We've been trying with no luck. Just getting older over here. At this rate, we'll be old before we know it. I'm only 2 years younger than you. Thanks for trying to cheer me up. Kelly often made self-deprecating comments like this. I always find it tough to respond in these moments. Well, we should probably head out, Tom. Yeah, let's go. As we were getting ready to leave, my parents and my brother's family offered to walk us out. Feeling a bit dizzy, maybe from the pregnancy or just the tension, I needed to be careful not to fall. I was holding onto the handrail for safety when suddenly I felt a heavy impact on my right shoulder from behind. Ouch! I nearly stumbled but managed to stay upright thanks to the handrail. Sorry, Nadia. I tripped and accidentally bumped into you. Are you okay? Yes, I'm fine. It was Kelly who had bumped into me. Tripped? But we were just walking down a straight hallway. Can that really happen? Normally, wouldn't you grab the handrail or the person next to you if you were about to fall? Why would she bump into me knowing I was pregnant? A chill ran down my spine, feeling uneasy. Sorry. Oh, you don't think I did it on purpose, do you? Don't look at me like that. It's okay. I'm fine. I couldn't accuse her without proof. Maybe it was just an accident. With that, we left my parents' house without saying anything else. After getting home, I took some time to think. Maybe I'm being a bit oversensitive because of the pregnancy. I've always gotten along okay with Kelly. There are things about her that I find difficult, but we've never really had a problem. I'm sure that feeling of malice I sensed was just in my head. I tried to convince myself of that. But after that, I started encountering strange things more often, and with each incident my distrust towards Kelly grew. The first odd thing was about my personal belongings left at my parents' house. It turns out they were somehow thrown out in the garbage. It was my mom who contacted me. I found some clothes that looked familiar in the trash. I picked them up, but what do you want to do with them? Can you leave them as they are? I'd like to check them later. When Tom and I went to check, they were indeed my belongings. Both my mom and dad said they would go into my room, but they wouldn't throw anything away without asking. So who did? Well, the day before the garbage day, Kelly came over to visit. Oddly enough, she was alone. My heart raced as previous incidents came flooding back. My mom looked at me silently, then said something as if she had sensed something. Maybe I shouldn't have said that. It's not good to suspect without proof. But maybe you should ask, what will you do? What can I do? It bothered me, but I didn't want to stir up unnecessary trouble. It's okay, she probably just came over to visit. All right then. For a while, everything was calm. Thankfully, my pregnancy was progressing smoothly, and the baby was growing healthy. Before I knew it, I was already 8 months along. By this point, I had reached a stable phase of the pregnancy, and my physical condition had improved. Since I hadn't seen Kelly in a while, there were no more issues. Then one day, my dad invited us over, saying, Why don't you and Tom come over on your next day off? He chose a day when there was a big festival near our parents' house. Every year, we gather at our parents' house for this festival. It's a lively celebration with all our relatives. When I told them about your pregnancy, everyone was thrilled. They said they'd love to see you, but of course, your health comes first. Standing for long periods was challenging with my growing belly, but otherwise I was doing well. I think we'll go. Yay, everyone will be really happy. With Tom saying yes, we went to visit my parents' house after a long time. Hi there, Nadia. Congratulations. You've grown a lot. Your baby is going to be strong and healthy. Every family member I saw said congrats. Some of them I only see on special days like this. I felt really happy and ended up moving around more than I should have. Nadia, are you moving too much? Is your belly feeling tight? My mom noticed it first. I hadn't even realized my belly was tight. Oh, you're right, it does feel a bit tight. Please take care. You're going to be this child's mom, Mom said firmly, then held my hand and guided me to another room. There was a mattress in there. Take a rest for a little while. Thank you. I could still hear everyone's voices from the nearby room. Lying down, I realized I was more tired than I thought. I felt like I could fall asleep right there. As my head started feeling fuzzy and I began to drift off, I felt a gentle tap on my head. Huh. When I opened my eyes, there was Kelly with a serious expression. Hey, what are you doing here? Everyone came to see Nadia, didn't they? It's kinda selfish to sleep. Come on, get up. Without waiting for me to respond, Kelly pulled me back out to where the relatives were. Oh, Nadia, where were you? Surrounded by everyone, I couldn't say I needed rest. So I just joined the conversation, forcing a smile. But as I stood and moved around, I could feel my belly tightening again. It wasn't good. I tried to leave a few times, but Kelly stopped me each time. Seriously, you always try to be alone. Do you dislike everyone that much? Accused like this, I couldn't leave. I stayed as long as I could, but when Kelly went to the bathroom, I finally sneaked away to another room. I really wanted to lie down, but I couldn't take the risk. I didn't know when Kelly might come back. Struggling to keep steady, I managed to sit down on a cushion I brought from the other room. I let out a quiet sigh. Honestly, lying down was all I wanted, but I couldn't risk Kelly finding me. She'd been subtly criticizing me since earlier. This place felt like a battleground. I couldn't relax for a moment, stay strong. But despite my efforts, my belly kept tightening. It wasn't painful, but it felt hard. I was only 8 months pregnant, not ready to give birth yet. I didn't want to stress the baby more. But if I rested, who knows what Kelly might say about me? When should I move? What should I do? While I sat there, holding my belly, worrying. Nadia, slacking off again. Darn it. It's Kelly. I tried to stand up, but I couldn't move. With the sound of the sliding door opening, Kelly entered, her voice full of anger. Why are you resting? Just because you're the daughter-in-law? Kelly marched aggressively towards me. But here, in this house, I'm treated like a daughter, not just a daughter-in-law. That's what I believed. But then she did something unbelievable. She grabbed the cushion I was sitting on. Huh? The force made me fall back onto the mat. Instinctively, I protected my stomach with my hands, but then felt a heavy impact on them. It was Kelly's foot. She had kicked towards my stomach as I fell. Luckily, her foot hit my hands first, lessening the impact on my belly. Get up already with that annoying belly. Need me to give you another one? She didn't seem to care anymore. I knew I needed to get up quickly, but my heavy belly and the shock slowed me down. You're too slow. As I was on all fours, Kelly raised her foot again. Stop. I couldn't react in time. I curled up tightly, bracing myself. And then it happened. Stop. A loud, commanding voice filled the room. I looked towards the voice and saw my mother standing there, her expression fierce. Don't move, understand? My mother quickly walked over and crouched next to me. Mom, how's your belly? Did you hit your head? Are you okay? Any pain? Mom checked me over, her brows furrowed with concern. I'm okay, just scraped my leg a bit. Nothing serious. Let me see. But it's just a small. Just let me see. I extended my right leg as she asked. It wasn't a big deal. When I fell, I couldn't protect myself properly because I was shielding my belly, so I just scraped my knee. It was a bit raw, but not serious. I was relieved that the baby was okay, but seeing my red knee, Mom's frown deepened. It looks sore. We need to clean it. It's really not a big deal. Don't downplay it. Your body matters. Mom turned around and shot a sharp glare at Kelly. Kelly, sit down over there. It's not what you think. I was just trying to. Just sit down. Kelly, ordered firmly by my mom, sat down looking pale. Mom took a deep breath and shouted even louder. This is ridiculous. The room felt tense. Startled, Kelly shrieked and flinched. Kelly, do you understand what you've done? It's not like that. I was just trying to fix the cushion, and Nadia fell over. Right, Nadia? I was fixing it? Kelly tried to justify herself. That's not true, Kelly, I replied after a moment. You clearly pulled it out. And why would anyone need to fix a cushion someone's sitting on? It doesn't make sense, and it's not necessary. Yeah, exactly. I didn't expect Nadia to fall like that. It really surprised me. Kelly nodded vigorously. There was no sign of remorse or concern in her expression. It was like she was insisting she did nothing wrong. It felt like she blamed me for being clumsy. I could almost hear her thoughts. She was trying to get away with it, but I knew she did it on purpose. At that moment, I was terrified, not just for myself, but for the baby inside me. I shuddered at the thought of what could have happened if I hadn't shielded my belly. If she had kicked me directly, it would have been horrifying. I wanted to confront Kelly, but the words wouldn't come out. Seeing my struggle, Kelly smirked. Look, it seems Nadia doesn't have anything else to say, so let's drop this topic. We're running out of drinks anyway, and I should go check on everyone. Kelly stood up quickly, her smug demeanor from earlier now serving as an excuse to leave. Mom watched silently. She's going to get away with it. I have to speak up. After everything that happened, after risking my baby's safety, I couldn't just stay quiet. In my panic and confusion, I managed to blurt out, You kicked me. Kelly turned back, looking startled. What are you talking about, Nadia? You kicked me, Kelly. Whether pulling the cushion was on purpose or not, I don't know, but you aimed for my belly. Wait, Nadia. Kelly started to come towards me, flustered. Stay calm. There must be a misunderstanding. I am calm. It's not a misunderstanding. You definitely kicked me. If Mom hadn't intervened, you would have done it again. I would never do that. Shut up. Just be quiet. Kelly reached out to cover my mouth. I almost stumbled, but Mom quickly supported me. Calm down. Mom looked sharply at Kelly. Kelly, seeming weakened by Mom's gaze, froze and stepped back. When Mom calmly said, Sit down, Kelly reluctantly returned to her chair. I've been listening quietly to both sides, but I never expected it to come to this. Please believe me, Nadia must be getting overly sensitive because of her pregnancy. She's imagining things. Kelly burst into tears. Not only was she good at manipulating words, but she also knew how to play the emotional card. Meanwhile, I had no proof and struggled to defend myself. When I got emotional, it became even harder to speak up. Would I just lose to Kelly's accusations and end up crying myself to sleep again? Is this going to be my life from now on? Tears welled up, and I looked down. Then I felt a strong movement in my belly. It felt like the baby inside was urging me on. Right, I'm going to be a mother. I can't let someone like her have her way. Wiping away my tears, I straightened up and faced forward. I may be extra cautious for the sake of my precious child, but this is not imagination. Kelly, you did kick my belly. Kelly looked at me, eyes wide. Ignoring her reaction, I continued. And it's not just that. You've been unkind to me multiple times. You threw away my clothes, bumped into me, and today you didn't let me rest. It was terrible. And then your actions earlier. If you call all that imagination, then you're just shameless. After I finished speaking, I took a deep breath, and Kelly glared at me, her face turning red. Do you even know what you're saying? Do you think yelling will shut me up? Maybe in the past, but not anymore. I gently stroked my belly and locked eyes with Kelly. For the sake of this child, I won't let myself be beaten by someone who's just good at talking and being loud. I won't be defeated by a bully. What did you just say? Kelly's anger flared, her nostrils twitching as if she was ready to explode. But I wasn't afraid. I couldn't stay silent any longer. Come at me if you dare. I braced myself for a confrontation, ready for whatever might come next. But then something unexpected happened. My mom burst into laughter. Both Kelly and I froze in surprise. Mom finally composed herself after a deep breath. A cornered mouse will bite the cat, as they say, she murmured, then cleared her throat and looked between Kelly and me. Kelly, do you have anything else to add? You can't possibly believe what she's saying. It's all nonsense. Is that so? But you know, Kelly, I only believe what I see with my own eyes. Then Mom repeated the words Kelly had used when she snatched away the cushion. You were just resting, being a daughter-in-law, right? Why would Mom know those words? I saw everything from the beginning. I was so shocked I could hardly breathe. I couldn't believe what I was seeing and couldn't move immediately. I'm sorry for frightening you, Nadia. Mom murmured an apology, and I quickly waved my hands, saying it wasn't her fault. Mom had seen everything, not just a part of it, but everything. So Kelly had been lying in front of Mom. Realizing the seriousness of the situation, Kelly's face went pale. I had been worried about Kelly's behavior towards you, Nadia, but without evidence and being an old woman, I thought it was inappropriate to interfere. I never expected it to come to this. Even Kelly was speechless. I thought I might need to intervene, but Nadia, you handled it so well. That's what a mother looks like. You did amazing, just like my own daughter. Mom smiled warmly and nodded approvingly. Seeing her gentle expression, I finally relaxed and found myself crying in her comforting embrace. Then Tom, my brother, and Dad were summoned from the other room for an urgent family meeting. After discussing everything, we decided to cut ties with Kelly. Mom would coordinate our visits to ensure we wouldn't run into her. My brother, upon learning the truth, turned pale and kept apologizing to Tom and me. It turned out Kelly's behavior stemmed from jealousy. She was upset that I was pregnant while she couldn't conceive. I couldn't forgive her, but I did feel some sympathy. Later on, I gave birth safely. Tom cried tears of joy and stayed by my side at the hospital every day. He quickly adapted to taking care of everything except breastfeeding. Though the journey was tough until the birth, I knew the real challenge was just beginning. Mom and I grew much closer after that incident. I felt the love and support of everyone around me. With their help, I'm determined to raise our baby well.